If you've been looking into NoFap or even tried NoFap for some time and you haven't seen results, you may be wondering, is there anything else that you can try? Hi, I'm Dimitri, I'm a psychotherapist, and I've healed from my own 17-year-long pornography addiction. And since then, I've helped hundreds of men with their addictions and sexual problems. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 3 valuable alternative methods to quit pornography that I know are more efficient than NoFap, no PMO, or cold turkey. So without further ado, let's get into it. Sometimes you will find a method that is known as behavior substitution. That means that you're replacing the addiction with another behavior. So in my mind, that's not a real method. We're not going to count that, because if you knew how to do that, you would already be free from pornography a long time ago. So we're just going to skip on that. The first method that I recommend, that I know works better than NoFap, no PMO, or going cold turkey, is what I call the method of the quotas, also known as tapering in traditional psychology. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to determine a certain number of days where we're allowed to watch pornography throughout the month, and we're going to try and stick to that. So the goal is to reduce the consumption of pornography we're watching over the course of a month. The goal is not to do a streak like we do in NoFap typically, but is to, just month by month reduce the amount. So for example, you're going to say, you're going to pick 15 as a number. Say, I'm going to allow myself to watch pornography 15 days per month this month. So I have 15 chances to watch pornography this month, and that's your maximum. And you try and aim for that throughout the month. And if you find that you have done that and you watch pornography maybe only 13 days throughout the month instead of 15, then that's great. You can bring your number down to, for example, 14 or 13 chances throughout the month for the next month. So that's the quota, is the number of days. So it's good to reduce your quota by 1 or 2 or 3 every month. Don't go from 15 times to 7 times. That's going to be too hard and you're going to discourage yourself. So this method is really good, but it has one issue, is that it only addresses behavior. It only addresses the way we watch pornography. And if you've been following me for long enough, you know that I'm not a fan of just working on behavior, because this is only one of the 6 aspects that lead to being free from pornography. So of course we want to work on behavior, moving away from pornography, but it is far from being the most efficient technique alone, and far from being the only thing you can do. The second method that I would recommend is therapy. And here I'm talking about traditional talk therapy. Typically CBT is what's used in psychology the more at the moment. So CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is going to look at the link between your behavior, watching pornography, and your cognition, the thoughts that are associated to that. So really working with a professional on this addiction is going to help a lot, because first of all, you're going to open up to another person that is in front of you and talk to them about what you're going through. And this is so important. Breaking the shame is the second pillar out of 6 of healing successfully from addiction, because if you're always ashamed about what you do and how you feel about it, and you don't talk about it, you're entrapped in not finding a solution. So just sitting down with someone who is in front of you, who's going to listen to your problems, who's qualified, and who's going to listen to you with empathy and no judgment, and you can say everything that's in your heart and everything that you've done, and there's not going to be any judgment about that. That is in itself extremely powerful. But also, thanks to this therapy, you're going to be able to dive a layer deeper than just behavior, which is your thoughts. Addictions as just a symptom. There's always a reason why these symptoms appear. They are there to compensate for some dysfunction, some imbalance within us. So having that frame where you can talk and observe your patterns, you may realize that, hey, there are certain triggers that you are seeing in your behavior. So typical reactions that when you observe them, you start watching pornography when there's a pretty girl in the bus, or sexual thought that arises in your mind, or it could be something absolutely random, pulling your phone with social media and then it leads to watching pornography. So being able to observe your triggers, certainly CBT can help with that. Linking your addiction with other patterns. You may observe that when you're talking to your parents, you're feeling a certain emotion that leads you to watch pornography. When you're talking to your girlfriend, this is what happens. When you go to work, you feel dissatisfied. And so you compensate with pornography at the end of the day when you need a bit of me time and to find yourself again, where you don't have to put on a mask and fulfill your duties as a person towards society. Then you want this time of comfort for yourself. And that's when you engage in pornography for this soothing. So all of this is really helpful. The addiction, again, will arise when there is an imbalance, a dysfunction within one's life. This is not a judgment to say that there is a dysfunction in your life. You don't need to feel bad about it. A lot of people's life are dysfunctional. It's just good to observe it and acknowledge it and then try and address that in the best possible way. So also with a CBT therapist, you'll be able to kind of map your behavior and your thoughts, the thoughts that you go throughout your day, the state of your life at a given time, and from that to understand the link between the current state of your life and when you engage in pornography. And that's really powerful. So any kind of talk therapy that you can engage in is going to be really, really helpful in this way. The only issue with this form of traditional talk therapy is that it will address your emotions, but only to a minor level. We talk about cognitions here, but we're not really talking about emotions. And when I talk about emotions, I don't mean so much today I'm feeling happy, today I'm feeling sad. I'm talking about the deep-seated emotions that are resting within you in your heart, the traumas, the emotional wounds that you went through in your childhood, potentially in your adulthood as well, that are deeply seated within you and that drive your everyday behavior. 90% of the things you do in your life are going to be led by your unconscious patterns. So it's really important that you're able to observe that. And unfortunately, CBT is not going to go down at the root of the emotional, unconscious dysfunction, or it may touch on that and you may be able to observe that, but it's not going to go into healing that deep emotion, which is what we're missing here. And in many cases for addiction, that's the root cause of the addiction, is those deep-seated emotions unconsciously down within our body, within our psyche, that need to be addressed. And so a third technique here is going to be a different kind of therapy, which I call ERT, emotional reprocessing therapy. You can find any trauma reprocessing therapy is going to be useful for that. The most common is EMDR, eye movements, desensitization, and reprocessing therapy. And again, I've got my own flavor, which I call ERT. My particular process, I call the Heal, Quit, Thrive process. In traditional psychology, there's going to be a lot of efforts into focusing on the thoughts and the behavior about pornography. But I think that the very first step, and what I've observed for myself and my clients, is that we need to heal the deep unconscious emotional roots, emotional wounds, emotional hurt that we carry within us. And then we can move on to changing the behavior and quitting pornography. But trying to quit pornography without healing the root cause is like trying to empty a bucket when you've got the tap open and you're emptying the bucket and it keeps on refilling because the tap is open. We need to close the tap, heal the wounds, stop the root cause, and then address the behavior and fix what needs to be fixed in this system. So this is the major shift from traditional psychology, and I think it's really, really important. And the reason number one why traditional psychology is struggling a little bit to address addiction. So this step of ERT therapy takes 3 to 6 months at least to be efficient. It's not something that you can do in the one go. The Heal, Quit, Thrive process takes quite a few months. But again, anybody who tells you can quit pornography in a day or a week, it doesn't really make sense, because healing from an addiction is seeing consistency over the course of weeks and then months and then years. So the fact that it takes several weeks, several months, possibly a couple of years to heal from that is not an issue, and it's consistent with this idea of long-term progression. I had this method used for myself for healing my addiction and the root causes of that and the traumas that were causing my addiction, and I use that with my clients as well. And I'll make a specific video about ERT and how it works, but basically it's just mostly about going down into the emotions that we feel, tracking the origin of this, but it's not so much talking about it, it's more like describing a scene and navigating what we see when we navigate in our emotions and then changing that from the inside. And that's is the most powerful method I know that also allows us to heal traumas, that also allows us to reconfigure our mind, heart, guts, body, brain, feeling, and to kind of realign everything all at once. The most powerful technique I know. And I don't think I've been unhappy for the past 3, 4, 5 years, and that's just because I used ERT so much, and now I am feeling very aligned. And whenever there's an emotion that's not in alignment with who I am, I just do a session of ERT and it realigns everything. For me, it's really like going to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor is cracking your joints back in place. This is really cracking your emotions back in place. But anyway, I'll leave it to that for now. And finally, once we have identified first the root cause of addiction, and the places to look for are typically childhood traumas, as I mentioned, and also our sexual fantasies, and being able to analyze our own sexual fantasies like we would analyze a painting, and understanding from these representations the root cause of the addiction. This is the science that I'm the most passionate of, or in our everyday upsets. Any way to identify the root cause of this addiction, then we're going to heal that, and then we can start changing our relationship with pornography, changing the way we watch pornography, reducing the way we watch pornography, so that progressively over the course of weeks and months, we see really positive results. So these results kick in from very much the first or the second week. As soon as you do an ERT session, you'll feel a major change in how you're wired and how you respond emotionally to the things happening to you. And it's the same for changing the way we watch pornography to make pornography boring, not as immersive, and that the brain registers that, hey, this activity of watching pornography is actually not very interesting. I'm not going to remember that for next time. I'll just do something else, like go work out or go shopping. Okay, so I've designed a 12-week program all around this process of Heal, Quit, Thrive. That is available on that platform. I used to run this program one-on-one. I found that for some people this was too expensive and they were not able to afford this treatment, which I would want to share with everybody. So I created an online platform where I do all the theory in video courses that you can follow, and there's a weekly chat that you can join with me where you can find support and we can talk about what you're going through. This is also anonymous if you want it to be. Again, this is really the most powerful technique I know, and it's really important to have good methods to quit pornography. Otherwise, you'll be stuck for months, for years. I've had people try to quit pornography for 10 years who are not making any progress because they're stuck with NoFap, they're stuck with going cold turkey. But suddenly when we start linking our behavior, what we do, to how we think and how we feel, and we see all these connections, then we're able to change that and heal the root cause of the addiction. If there's anything you take from this video, let it be that there is the root cause to the addiction that is emotional, and you can access that and reshape that if you work with me. Now, if what I just shared here speaks to you, you can sign up on my website, Unhooked.care, and book a 20-minute call with me. Together we'll understand how you can use that method to get better, to recover, and to heal your addiction. You can click in the link in the description. And if you want to learn more about how therapy can help you quit pornography, just watch the video here.